the Tennessee win last night. In double overtime against Georgia Tech for a long time, I think this one looked like it might be an easy Georgia Tech win, really kind of mirroring what we saw Sunday night where the SEC team, Texas A&M, had the big lead before finally losing it to UCLA. This time it was the SEC team kind of trailing and seemingly out of it, and yet by virtue of some Tech turnovers, they get back in, find a way to win it in double overtime, 42-41. So Vols get the win. But what did Butch Jones and Tennessee prove here? Let me ask you that to start the conversation off.
Plain and simple, first and foremost, they proved resiliency. They proved that they can get it done on that offensive side of the ball. This is a team that only had about 22 snaps there for most of the first half, and really not a lot of opportunity. Their defense was getting pushed down the field, put to the test. It wasn't until a couple turnovers that really Tennessee was able to respond offensively. I think that the moment wasn't too big for Quentin Dormany. I thought that he looked special back there. And John Kelly proved that he is a elite level back in the SEC in my eyes. I think that he looked incredible last night. Yeah,
John Kelly does seem like a very capable replacement for Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurd. We wondered how Tennessee would do this season without both those running backs. At least Kelly from last night, you seem to think they could be fine offensively. I was also fine with the performance from Quentin Dormany in that game. But how about that Tennessee defense here for a moment? Bob Shoop, the coordinator, who was thought to be one of the big-time free agent acquisitions when he was made by Tennessee going into the 2016 season. But last night, probably not the highlight film that Shoop really wants to really kind of display his ability as a coach.
I didn't like the game plan for Tennessee. If anybody watched really closely, they saw how far off the ball Tennessee's defensive line was. And I know what the thought is on the defensive line. You have the ability to read and react on some of those offensive linemen, shed some of the cut blocks. But I really thought they exposed their second-level defenders to some of the fullbacks and B-backs in Georgia Tech's offense. Really were able to get downhill, turning the corner. And listen, that's what happens. 86 carries for 535 yards last night for Georgia Tech's offense. All sorts of records being set by their quarterback. They were really able to expose that run defense from Tennessee last night. I know that Tennessee's defense is happy to have that game in the rearview mirror where they win in the column there on the left.
Travis Ellsbury in the comments section having a little fun with the way the game started for Tennessee. If you saw ESPN broadcast, they had a camera inside the Tennessee locker room, and there's this big show of Butch Jones in the front of the room saying, "Who's got my back?" And everybody's saying, "I got your back," and he's saying he's got their back. And that's more of that kind of talk that you get from Butch Jones a little bit. And what's funny about that is that the body language of the Tennessee players during the game, I thought completely betrayed whatever Butch Jones tried to get done with the, "Hey, we've got each other's back." I mean, take a look at the two quarterbacks here for a moment. You mentioned Quentin Dormany, who played pretty well as the starter. Jerry Garantano was on the bench and really seemed to be sort of sulking and pouting on the bench for most of the game. This notion this is a Tennessee team that's all in it together and they've got each other's back. Boy, that's not really the body language that Tennessee showed on the field at times.
Yeah, I realize it's a little bit different situation, but I noticed during the Georgia game the other day, Jake Fromm goes in the game, gets a touchdown on his first drive in there. Kirby Smart goes over, grabs him by the jersey, walks him over to the offensive huddle. Here are these two guys, Quentin Dormany and Jared Garantano. Here they are supposed to be splitting snaps. He's supposed to be getting snaps in the first game. I would not have that as a head coach. Garantano was kind of sitting off to the side. He's not even listening to the play call. Doesn't even look interested in what's going on in the football game. Kirk Herbstreit made light of it on the broadcast last night. To me, that goes back to Butch Jones. It goes back to these offensive coaches. You've got to make sure this offense is really looking in depth into what's going on the field. He's only one play away. Aside from the fact that they're not splitting snaps anymore, probably, he's still only one play away from getting in the game.
But listen, we said during the offseason, Tennessee's not a top 25 team. The Vols ranked there right now. That's not where we think they finish, and nothing from last night's game made me change my opinion on that. I mean, Tennessee was a point spread favorite. They should have won the game. FPI gave them like a 67% chance of winning it. If anything, the Vols were disappointing in getting the win, more so than earning a lot of credit because they pulled it out there late. As Jeremy Pettis mentioned in the comment section, I know that Butch Jones all about the will to win. He sort of rammed that phrase down our throat a bunch last night. I'm sure he'll spin this as his players proving will to win here. The truth is, if you're an SEC team that thinks you win a championship, how about you handle Georgia Tech?